Hi, welcome to my first video that I am recording with my voice. This is going to be a Morgana guide where I quickly go over Morgana's abilities, her different builds, at least the ones that I use, her positions, and at the end there is a very short segment about how to play Morgana. Sadly, I don't have any video for it, but I'll explain more about that at the end. I was incredibly nervous, still am, when making this. I am stumbling a lot over my words in this video, but I hope that you will be able to bear with it and watch this to the end and hopefully enjoy. And maybe, if I'm lucky, I get to teach someone just a tiny bit about a champion that I enjoy a lot. Enjoy. First, some quick information about Morgana. Morgana is a catcher/control mage. This means that she excels in locking down single targets as well as areas. Locking down an area will be done with either her W or her ultimate, providing damage and CC. Morgana is almost entirely ability based, and therefore you will not be using her auto attack to trade very often. It will be used almost exclusively for farming minions. All of Morgana's abilities scale only with ability power. This means that your two primary stats will be ability power and ability haste. Morgana is usually played support, but can be played mid and jungle as well, with jungle being an especially strong role for her at the moment. I prefer playing Morgana top, which is not very common, but it is very funny, and I would highly recommend that you try it out. Moving on to Morgana's abilities. Morgana's passive is called Soul Siphon. Morgana heals for 20% of any post-mitigation damage dealt by her abilities to champions, large minions, and large monsters. This passive does not incur any diminished healing from her AoE ability. Morgana's Q is called Dark Binding. Morgana fires a sphere of dark magic that roots the first enemy hit and deals magic damage to them. The root is 2 to 3 seconds, scaling with ability level, and the damage is 80 to 300, scaling with the level of the ability, as well as 90% of Morgana's AP. This ability has a flat cooldown of 10 seconds at all ranks, reduced by ability haste. The skill shot is 1300 units long, which is equivalent to 3 flashes and 1 Teemo. Morgana's Q will be blocked by spell shields and any ability that blocks projectiles, such as Braum's Wall. Morgana's W is called Tormented Shadow. Morgana throws out an area of effect ability that deals magic damage every 0.5 seconds for 5 seconds, totaling 12 ticks of damage. The damage per tick is 6 to 26, scaling with the level of the ability as well as 7% of Morgana's AP. Tormented Shadow's damage scales up to a maximum of 170% extra damage, scaling with the target's missing health. This scaling is 17% increase in damage for every 10% missing health. Targets in Morgana's W will be treated uniquely, and therefore the damage will be adjusted based on each target's missing health. Tormented Shadow's cooldown is a flat 12 seconds, reduced by ability haste. Additionally, Tormented Shadow's cooldown is reduced by 5% of its maximum each time Morgana is healed by her passive, Soul Siphon. Tormented Shadow can trigger its own passive cooldown reduction, starting from the very first tick of damage. Tormented Shadow is not blocked fully by spell shields, but the first tick of damage still will be. Morgana's E is called Black Shield. Morgana shields the target ally or herself for 5 seconds. The shield only blocks magic damage, but will also block any crowd control that hits the target until the shield expires or is broken by magic damage. The shield blocks 80 to 300, scaling with ability level, plus 70% AP worth of magic damage. Black Shield cannot block self-induced or ally-induced crowd control and will also not block nearsight. It will, however, block Ilaoi's E, Test of Spirit, despite this ability not being considered crowd control. Any abilities with a shield breaking effect will destroy the shield before applying their damage or CC. An example of this ability would be Blitzcrank's ultimate. The cooldown of Morgana's Black Shield is 26 to 18 seconds, scaling with ability level, and is further reduced by buying ability haste. And finally, on to Morgana's ultimate. Morgana's R is called Soul Shackles. Morgana shoots out chains of energy at all nearby enemy champions, slowing them by 20% and dealing magic damage to all of them. The chains will stay on the enemies for 3 seconds or until the enemy moves far enough away from Morgana to break the chain. If the chain remains unbroken for the full 3 seconds, Morgana will apply magic damage to the enemy again and stun them for 1.5 seconds. This ability will apply 50% of its damage on the initial hit, and the remaining 50% if the target has not broken the chain within those 3 seconds. The total damage is 150 to 300 magic damage, scaling with ability level, plus 70% of Morgana's AP. Morgana gains 5 to 55% movement speed, scaling with the level of the ability, when moving towards enemies that she has a chain on. And now, moving on to Morgana's items and runes. For Morgana's support, I would recommend Spell Thief's Edge, as this is your basic support item, and then for your mythic, either Imperial Mandate for some extra damage every time you land your Q and your R, or Everfrost for some more CC with the 1.5 root active. For boots, I'd go Ionian Boots of Lucidity for ability haste, but if you do need a bit more damage, you could probably go with Sorcerer's Shoes. Next up, I'd go for Morellonomicon so you can apply some anti-heal to the entire enemy team using your ultimate or your W. Next, I would use Ardent Sensor, which would apply every single time you use your Black Shield. If you do not feel safe without Sonia's Hourglass, I would replace Ardent Sensor with Sonia's. Rounding out this build, you can go for either Redemption for some more healing to your team, Mikael's Blessing if there's a lot of CC and you need to use anti-CC when your Black Shield is down, or Seek's Convergence if you would like to buff your ADC just a tiny bit more. An alternate mythic you could go for with this build would be Moonstone Renewer, as it would heal your ADC, which is something Morgana cannot do. However, I do not feel like Moonstone Renewer is very strong given its most recent nerfs. If you're looking to do a bit more damage, however, another build you could go would be starting with Spell Thief's Edge for your support item, and then for mythics you go either Liandry's Anguish for the health percent burn, or Luden's Tempest for the on-hit damage, the splash effect, and the magic penetration passive. For boots you want to go with Sorcerer's Shoes, and then you want to continue on to building either Sonia's Hourglass for some extra survivability in team fights, or Horizon Focus for some extra damage every time you CC someone. Next up, you want to grab Demonic Embrace, as this gives you some survivability, some protections, and some more damage. Rounding out this build, you want to build either Rabadon's Death Cap if the enemy team has a lot of squishies, or Void Staff if there's a lot of tanks. For the support runes, I would go with Summon Aerie or Arcane Comet. Arcane Comet will do a bit more damage, however, it will not shield your team, as Aerie will. Next up, you go with Mana Flow Band, Transcendence, and Scorch. Your secondary runes should be Biscuit Delivery and Cosmic Insight, or Magical Footwear. For your stat runes, you want to grab Ability Haste, Adaptive Force, and Armor, unless you're facing 2 AP champions in the bot lane, in which case you go Magic Resist. When playing Morgana mid, the items you want to go for would be Liandry's or Luden's Echo. This is entirely up to you, but oftentimes I find that Liandry is simply just a better option. For boots, you want to go with Sorcerer's Shoes, and then you want to move on to picking up Sonia's Hourglass for that extra survivability, and Horizon Focus to do more damage. Next up, you go with either Morellonomicon for the anti-heal, or Demonic Embrace if you want to do a bit more damage as well as getting some more resistances. To end this build, you build Rabadon's Death Cap. A few alternate items that you could put into this build, replacing whichever item you so choose. You can go with either Archangel's Staff for some more mana and some more ability power, Rylai's for a slow, Cosmic Drive for some more movement speed and some more ability haste, or Void Staff if there's a lot of tanks on the enemy team. For Morgana mid runes, there are 2 primary rune trees that you can go with. You can either go with Sorcery first for Arcane Comet, Mana Flow Bend for some extra mana, Transcendence for some more ability haste, and Gathering Storm for some additional AP. The secondary tree is going to be Precision, with Presence of Mind for some additional mana regeneration, and Coup de Grace for some extra damage. The stats you're looking to take is Adaptive Force, and Armor, unless you're fighting an AP champion, in which case you will go with Magic Resist. For the secondary rune set, you could start with the Domination primary for Dark Harvest, Cheap Shot, which is extra damage every time you CC someone, Ghost Poro for some quick AP, and Ravenous Hunter for some extra healing. The secondary rune in this would be Presence of Mind and Coup de Grace again. The stats likewise are also Adaptive Force, and Armor, again unless you're fighting an AP champion. Moving on to my favorite Morgana position at the moment, Morgana Top. The top items you want to bring are Liandry's Anguish, Sorcerer's Shoes, Demonic Embrace, Horizon Focus, or Sonia's Hourglass if you feel you need more survivability, Void Staff, and Rabadon's Death Cap. This build uses the rune sets for mid, and you can use whichever one you feel the most useful to you. And finally, what is arguably Morgana's strongest role at the moment, Morgana Jungle. The items you want to bring from Morgana Jungle is Liandry's or Everfrost or Luden's. Liandry's for the health percent burn, Everfrost's for some additional CC, and Luden's for the splash effect, the on-hit damage, and the mythic passive. For boots, you want to bring either Sorcerer's Shoes or Mobility Boots. Mobility Boots if you feel like you need more mobility when you're ganking, but I would usually go with Sorcerer's Shoes for the extra damage. Next up, you go Horizon Focus and Sonia's Hourglass, and then you proceed to build either Demonic Embrace or Cosmic Drive, depending on whether you need more damage and resistances, or if you need more cooldown and movement speed. Finally, you want to end this build with building Rabadon's Death Cap. The jungle runes are Dark Harvest, Cheap Shot, Eyeball Collection, Relentless Hunter, and then you want to round it out with Celerity or Transcendence, and then Gathering Storm. The stats you want to go with are Adaptive Force, and Armor. Hi. Really quick before I extend my thanks to everyone who's made it this far, I just want to say that I know that there's not a segment of this video dedicated to any Morgana combos, and that is simply because I was very flustered, as you could possibly hear throughout this video, and completely forgot to write it. And when I realized, I decided to not go back and make it because my laptop, yes, laptop, simply cannot handle recording clips from League of Legends very well, nor can it record while I am playing. So I decided that it would be better for everyone if I just quickly tell you here what Morgana's combos are. Morgana's combos are essentially just quickly throwing out your W and then immediately landing your root to ensure that the target takes the full damage of the W. The root at max rank is 3 seconds and the W lasts for 5. So they are more or less guaranteed to always take the full hit. You're going to go a step beyond that. You want to do your W and then your Q, and then a second before your Q runs out, you want to start doing your ultimate. And then after 1 second of your ultimate stun, you want to hit them with your Q and then your W again. And that is about 9 seconds of CC. I think, something like that. At least with Everfrost. As for the thank you, I just quickly want to extend my thanks to anyone who actually watched this video to the end. I'm not at all used to recording or hearing my own voice, and it was incredibly awkward, and I stumbled a lot over my words during this. So thank you to anyone who listened and watched this. Thank you to anyone who made it to the end. If you want to like the video, I would be very, very happy. And if you want to watch something silly, without me actually talking, I do have like a few clips. It should be on the screen right now. I'm hoping to make more videos at some point. So if you want to subscribe and wait for those, it's also going to be on the screen. Thank you.